Sometimes you just got to KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. And if you're keeping it simple, you're thinking offensive line. And if you're thinking offensive line, well, this NFL draft expert says the Texans have a very clear player to pick at 25th overall. We'll talk about that player. Should he make it to the Texans? Should they pull the trigger? Ultimately, what improvement he would bring to the table for the Texans in 2025, plus another option at that position at 25. Some other draft news and notes, your questions, comments, joys, and concerns as well. Welcome to the channel. I'm Cody Stoots. Let's talk some Texans and let's talk some draft. Now, I know that offensive line's not the most fun draft pick that the Texans could make in just 2 weeks' time in the first round of the NFL draft. Maybe, right around this time in the evening, they'd be near to on the clock. And an offensive lineman would be necessary. It's not fun. It's like, getting a minivan after you have a couple of kids. You probably need it. It's not as fun as the Charger or the Corvette or the souped up, lifted truck or anything like that, but you probably need that. Carry the kids around, put the car seats back in there. Actually, I had a buddy the other day tell me, finally bought the minivan. He was actually pretty pumped about it because it's functional, it's useful, though not exciting. That's what the offensive line is. As much as I'd like to see North Carolina running back Omarion Hampton at 25 or Michigan tight end Colston Loveland at 25, functional and necessary is probably where the Texans should go. Get an offensive lineman early, maybe add another one on day 2, and really start to put together what is hopefully in the future the Great Wall of Houston. It could come together in a pretty quick manner if the Texans nail, say, 2 offensive line draft picks. If Fisher's as good as the Texans hoped he was going to be when they spent a second-round pick on him last year, you draft a first-round guard and then say, a third-round guard, and all of a sudden you got 3 really young offensive linemen to really start to insert around them on the offensive line, starts to come together, starts to put things together, and ultimately could give you a nice, solid base with those guys up front. Cole Popovich, the offensive line coach, new offense coordinator Nick Caley, they've got to figure something out with this offensive line. The Texans early on mentioned that the coaching was going to help them a lot. They swapped out some of the players. They still need to add players. And the player they should add at 25, well, NFL Network and one of my favorite draft analysts, Daniel Jeremiah, has got a new show. He does it with Greg Rosenthal called 40s and Free Agents. And he made it very clear that if this player is there at 25 overall, run the card up, pull the trigger for the Houston Texans.
I don't know how you look your quarterback in the eye and not go offensive line with his first pick. And that's why, to me, I just wrote down Tyler Booker coming out of Alabama. Think about D'Amico Ryans and his pipeline and information in Alabama. And when they tell me that he was the caliber of leader and the caliber of work ethic in bringing others along as a guy that the Houston Texans have playing defensive end for him, and that type of guy, and I think it's worked out pretty well for him there with Will Anderson. This is at Alabama, they tell you this is the Will Anderson of offense there at a position of need. I would think if Booker's there, that's a no doubter.
The Will Anderson of offense, a no-doubter at 25 for Daniel Jeremiah if Alabama guard Tyler Booker is there. Now, it's not often that draft analysts, draw the line to players that deep in the first round. It's one thing to say, hey, Cam Ward to the Titans. Hey, Travis Hunter to the Browns. Hey, Abdul Carter to the Giants. Those are pretty easy to say. Hey, Ashton Genty, the running back from Boise State, should go really high. But when you have a player that just really fits exactly what the Texans usually look for in a draft pick, and you can kind of call that shot that far out, you tend to pay a little bit more attention to it. Let's talk a little bit more about Tyler Booker. He is a big fella, 6'4", 325 pounds, and he has been a starter at Alabama for 2 straight seasons. And this past season, he was the leader of the Crimson Tide, a team captain. And after they lost to Vanderbilt, which was one of the most disgusting, horrible, terrible losses in the history of Alabama, Tyler Booker was credited with getting everybody back on track. He's talked about how Will Anderson taught him how to be a leader, how he wants to grow into being a leader at the next level. He knows that he can't come in as a 20-something-year-old rookie and tell guys who are 30-something that have kids how to operate, but he wants to learn at the NFL level how to be a leader, like he learned from Will Anderson how to be a leader at Alabama with the Crimson Tide. Now, all the intangibles, and they just line up for Tyler Booker and the Houston Texans. A leader, a captain, dirty work, loves football, says he plays football to take away other players' love of football. That all lines up. And that's great. You can have a great mentality. Are you worth a crap when you strap the pads on, you put the helmet on, you step out on the field? And let me tell you, Booker is more than worth a crap when he gets out there on the field. Charged with 2 sacks in 27 starts for the Crimson Tide. He was one of the best pass blocking guards in all of college football last year. He was a rock to lean on for the Alabama Crimson Tide, and he is a guy that can plug and play right away at the NFL level. Now, he primarily played left guard for the Crimson Tide with a quick moonlight at left tackle, but he is a left guard in college. He's been training with Duke Merriweather, who's one of the top offensive line coaches at both center and right guard. So this guy, interior offensive lineman, I know I have left guard here on the screen, but Booker could come in right away. And you think about, I don't know, Laken Tomlinson there at left guard, who's a veteran that the Texans added for $5 million in free agency. And he's a solid enough player. He's been a little disappointing for the past 3 seasons, but he's consistent. He's reliable. You can trust him to be out there on the field. That's exactly what you could do with Booker, putting him over there at right guard. Booker, day one, should be better than what the Texans have as right guard options currently on the roster, which is Ed Ingram, who they traded for from the Minnesota Vikings, as well as potentially Juice Scruggs or Jarrett Patterson playing out of position at guard. You grab Booker at 25, you put Booker right there in one of those starting guard spots. And here's another thing about Booker. He really only fits a certain style of offense because of his lack of athleticism, because of the lessened athleticism and his inability to move like some of these other guards. Tyler Booker really only fits like that gap power scheme, which is kind of what the Patriots ran when Nick Caley was there as the tight ends coach. Cole Popovich was there helping out with the offensive line. And that would kind of give us an indication of what the Texans are going to do from an offensive standpoint if they drafted Tyler Booker, because putting him in a offshoot of the Shanahan system, primarily a zone scheme, that would not accentuate what he does well. Nick Caley, remember, said, hey, we're going to accentuate what our players do well. Tyler Booker, he puts guys in a phone booth and he doesn't let them get away. And in the run game, he moves guys out of the way at a good enough pace that you can run behind this big body. And another thing, as we talk about Tyler Booker, and you think about how large of a human being he is, 6'4", nearly 6'5", I think, and 325 pounds. I got to thinking a little bit. Hey, the LA Rams, they have had Nick Caley on their offensive staff for the past couple of years. And they used to be like a dedicated offshoot zone team where you need a little bit more athleticism. You need guys getting out there in front of the blocks and so on and so forth. But over the past couple of years, they kind of transformed things in LA. And that Rams depth chart got a little beefier. So I went and looked at the guards that the Rams primarily have played the past couple of years. And Steve Avila and Kevin Dotson, 2 guys that they've added, one via draft, and I believe they traded for and extended Dotson. 2 guys that have played guard for the Rams a lot here the past couple of years. When Nick Caley was there, guess how big those guys are? They're about 6'3", 6'4", 325, 330 pounds. They're the exact same size as Tyler Booker. So when you're thinking about, hey, does he fit everything? He fits what the Rams were doing because he's the same size as the guys that the Rams had out there. And I know that Booker's athleticism in the workouts weren't great, but he talked a lot at the combine about how he's a functional athlete, how he works out and does things that are particular and specific to his position. He doesn't care as much about big workout numbers. He said, I don't really like, squats, bench presses, stuff like that. I like functional stuff like hang cleans, clean and snatch, full body workouts that get your whole body ready for game day. Booker's a smart guy. He's a reliable guy. He was a leader. And oh, by the way, all the stuff from the neck up, it just adds to how good of a player he was from the neck down when he actually got there on the field. I'm totally in on Kyler Booker at 25. He's the number one guard for Daniel Jeremiah at the 20th spot in his top 50. He's the number one guard for Dane Brugler, one of the top guards and one of the top, I think, 25 players for Brugler. So this is a guy, he's not getting near as much love as some of these other offensive linemen, some of these tackles that are going to play guard. This is just a good old-fashioned ass kicker that you draft. You stick him there at one of those starting spots, and you just let him go to work from day one. And you hope that you look up 10 years later, he's had 2 contracts, and you smile because you spent a first-round pick on him. It's reliability and necessity meeting at the point of the 25th overall draft pick. Now, is Booker going to get there? When I tell you he's one of the best guards in the draft, when I tell you that he's reliable, he's a coach's dream, it doesn't sound like the type of guy that's going to totally get there. And when you think about some of the offensive linemen that got drafted last year, well, the first guard came off the board at 20. And when you look at the LA Chargers at 22, man, they just feel like the Tyler Booker type of team. They just feel like the type of team that would take Booker at 22, plop him in one of those guard spots and call it a day. They got some great tackles in LA, but man, they could use some improved interior offensive line play. They also need a lot more, and they got to get Justin Herbert some weapons out there in LA. So they may pass on Booker. And if he gets past LA at 22 and he's there at 25, man, I have a hard time not thinking that Tyler Booker would be a heavy consideration and maybe even turn the card in with his name on it. Now, I mentioned it. Booker may not make it. And if Booker doesn't make it, Daniel Jeremiah on 40s and free agents, well, he had another solution for the Houston Texans offensive line woes.
And then Gray Zabel was the other one out of North Dakota State who has legitimate 5-position flex. You can play him all over the place. Smart, tough. He's not going to have issues with some of those games that were befuddling to that group last year.
The befuddling games that Jeremiah is talking about is the fact that the offensive line couldn't figure out where the blitzes were coming from. They just looked lost. Free rushers at CJ Stroud seemingly every week. Now, if you followed the channel, you know I like Gray Zabel quite a bit. Gray Zabel does not fit what the Houston Texans typically do. The Texans typically draft big school guys that have played a lot of games against premier competition. That is not Gray Zabel. He's a little school guy that has not played a lot of games against premium competition. He's played a lot of games. He's got starts at left tackle, left guard, right guard. He was the emergency center for the Bison, and he played center in high school. So he could play all over the offensive line, though his size, his body type is going to put himself as an interior offensive lineman. And I know small school guys, a little scary, kind of nerve-wracking when you think about small school guys and you think about, oh, man, going to go right away and let this guy go out there and play. But you've seen some guys from smaller schools come in and be able to play right away, including Cody Mock, who is another small school guy that played right away. And I think there was some growing pains there a little bit with him, but ultimately he turned into a very nice player. The Texans can't totally afford growing pains, but Zabel's a really good athlete. He tested well. It looks good athletically, even though he didn't play a ton of premier competition. He looked good at the Senior Bowl. He was the overall practice player of the week at the Senior Bowl. He's not a stone wall. He does not just grab you and keep you from going anywhere, but he doesn't let you get to the quarterback. He doesn't let you get there. He doesn't let you go out there and create pressure. And he seems to be a very smart player based on the fact that he played all over the offensive line in college, and now he's making that transition to the interior at the NFL level. I like Zabel at 25. I don't love the pick. I could fall in love with Tyler Booker at 25. I don't know that I'd ever get into full-bloom love with Gray Zabel at 25. So that's where I am on those two offensive linemen and what Daniel Jeremiah had to say on 40s and free agents with Greg Rosenthal, his new show that he does. I like the idea of going with one of those two guards at that spot. I could fall in love with the idea of Booker. Now, I tell you, both those guys are beautiful players if they traded back a few spots, added some extra compensation. And my goodness, if they were somehow able to trade out of the first round and still get Tyler Booker in the second round, thank the football gods, because they'd be getting extra capital and be able to go get a big-time player in this draft. Now, what's the guard position give you later on in the draft? Well, it gives you a lot of tackles who are going to play guard. So big-time athletes that can then bump down. A guy like Marcus Bowe from Purdue, a guy like Wyatt Milam from West Virginia, career tackle who's probably going to play guard at the next level. Then you got your, Jonah Savanaia from Arizona. Played a lot of tackle, probably going to play guard at the next level. And then you've got the Georgia version of Tyler Booker, which is my guy, Tate Ratledge, who has played right guard for the Bulldogs for 3 seasons and is just a mauler. He's a big-time athlete, though not as consistent as it feels like Booker, and maybe on the top end doesn't have the same level of top-end potential as Booker, but I like Ratledge a lot. He was a fantastic pass blocker, and I keep going back. It's all up here. I keep going back, and I think about when D'Amico Ryans got asked about offensive linemen. He said, I like guys that can pass block. Well, they went out there. Cam Robinson is their new left tackle. Cam Robinson's not much of a run blocker. Cam Robinson's got some impressive moments pass blocking. You think about Tyler Booker, that's a pass blocker. You think about what Gray Zabel can do, that's a pass blocker. You think about what my guy Tate Ratledge can do, that's a pass blocker. If you think the guard's deep enough, you can go somewhere else in the first round. But if you want to double dip or you don't want to wait around and have a guard plucked off of the tree before you get a chance, well, it's pretty easy to see how you'd go with Tyler Booker or Gray Zabel there at 25. And while I'd be pretty excited about it, most of us would know it's like eating your vegetables. You could still get some sizzle a little bit later on in the draft, particularly with those 3 draft picks the Texans have on day 2. Want to get to your comments and your questions, but also want to tell you, with the NFL draft being 2 weeks away, that means that 16 days from now is the 3rd day of the NFL draft. On the 3rd day of the NFL draft, S&L, myself, Landry Locker from the Locker Room, we're going to be out at Karbach Brewing in the Beer Garden, and we want to see you. We're inviting you out to come hang out with us at the Beer Garden and Karbach. Hang out with us. We'll be there as soon as the draft gets going that Saturday. We'll be hanging out for most of the day. How about a draft and drafts with Karbach? How fantastic will that be? Come on out. I'll have some stickers. We'll have some other cool stuff to give away. We might even do some raffle items as well. You never know what's going to pop up. And it's a great chance for all of you who've been talking to each other in the chat to meet each other in real life. Hey, meet a bunch of Texans fans, hang out, have some great beers, some great ciders, some great food. They got the Karbach pub in there. They've also got the new pizza and pints, which is right next to the Beer Garden. You walk in there, get you a pizza in their custom-made, beautiful pizza oven. Man, let me tell you, they built their own pizza oven. They got their own highly developed crust for this pizza, and they put brisket on their barbecue pizza. Ain't no chicken on their barbecue pizza. They put brisket on the barbecue pizza. Brisket barbecue pizza, some beer, some draft. What more could you ask for on a Saturday in April? We'll see you there on the 26th. Be there or, well, I'll be a little sad that you're not. That's the best way I would say that. So let me get to some of your comments and your questions. I'm going to do some catching up here, run through it as fast as I can to try to get current for everybody. Marky Mark, good to see you. James, appreciate you. Space Age, good to see you. BG, HDAV Traveler, Jake, good to see you in here. BG, again, I saw you already. Wesley, good to see you. Panda's in here. Andrew, good to see you. Mr. Bo on the top. 3 days in a row live. Yeah, I've been taking care of you with the lives, and it rolls right into Landry at 10:30. He's got a get out scenario for you tonight. Mario Master 02, Tyler Booker speaks Swarm. He's fluent in it, okay? It's basically a second language for him. BG likes it. James knows that he's Swarm. Bryant Sutton, can y'all imagine if we get Banks and Booker? Oh, fan me. Get one of those old, one of those old giant things that they used to use in the old antebellum South and fan me if they ended up with Banks and Booker. That'd be incredible. Be incredible. Could we get the dude from Georgia also? That's Tate Ratledge. Yeah, Ratledge is supposed to be a day 2 guy. So if you want to get Booker in the first round, you want to go get my guy Tate Ratledge, you want to go back-to-back guards? I won't hate that. Landry will. He hates offensive linemen. I love offensive linemen. Okay? I've grown to appreciate how important they are after watching C.J. Stroud run for his life this past year. Space Age. He better be. Caserio has to hit with this offensive line selection. You gotta hit with the offensive line. Baylor Bear. Ty Robinson, defensive tackle from Nebraska. Imagine putting Brian Cushing in JJ's body. Here's a fun thing about Ty Robinson. He had a really nice Senior Bowl, and I don't know that anybody really talked about it that much. I paid attention. Played a little end, played a little defensive tackle. He had a really nice Senior Bowl. And I feel like that's not talked about enough. He's got some inside-outside versatility as well. I like Ty Robinson a lot. Also, fun connection there. You brought up Brian Cushing. Tyler Booker initially went to the same high school that Brian Cushing went to, a football powerhouse up there in New Jersey. Then, of course, Booker went to IMG Academy because he's one of the best prospects in all of high school football. And, of course, he ended up with the Crimson Tide. Space Age likes Donovan Jackson from Ohio State a little bit more. Get that. HDAV Traveler. Sorry about that. I saw the super chat just a second ago. Sounds like a great party. The beer garden's going to be a blast, man. We want y'all to come out, hang out with us, have some beverages, have some food, watch the draft. They're going to put the big screen up for us, have the sound on for the draft. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait. I can't wait. Appreciate you for the super chat there, HDAV Traveler. Tay Rose says, give me the Samoan Mauler guard. That's my guy, Jonah Savanaia from Arizona. Big Polynesian fella. From America Samoa, and then went to high school in Hawaii. Went to the same high school as Tua. Not at the same time, obviously, but the same high school as Tua. ESG Soccer, thinking about season tickets. Opinion, club worth it? Whew, man, it's all about what you want to spend. If you're thinking about season tickets, man, this is probably a pretty good time to jump in there. Club level's nice. Club level's nice. I tell you, the 500s, you got some good views. When I had season tickets back in the day, I sat in the 600s. Feel like you still get some good views. 500s are nice. Club level is nice. It's got the nicest part of the concourse for you. So good concourse when it comes to the club level. And if you can afford it, that'd be my recommendation. If not, the 500s, you can get a really good seat in the 500s. And the 600s aren't terrible. You are high up there, but you end up making friends with all the people that are around you. At least that's what we did. People in front of us would always go get a baked potato at the end of the at the beginning of the third quarter. They let halftime roll, then they would get a baked potato. Every game, same thing. It was Luther's back then. I think was the barbecue stand. That's been long gone now, but they've got a baked potato every game. They love that baked potato. Andrew Solis, definitely some hidden gems with the popular picks. Can get some good value in rounds 2 through 4. Yeah. I love day 2 of this draft. I love day 2 of this draft. And if they can move around and pick up a 4th round pick somehow, well, that sure be nice. That sure be nice. Rodo says Tate Ratledge, Georgia. I mean, that's my guy. That's my guy. Got a mustache just like me. And then, he's got the great mullet, self-proclaimed dirt bag. I love Tate Ratledge. Andrew Solis, I would like to pick in round 1, then trade up in the 2nd for Tate. I don't know that you need to trade up for Tate Ratledge. He should be there at 58, where the Texans are slated to pick. Panda says guard is deep in there. Italo Macedo says Jared is also big. He's talking about Jared Wilson, the center from Georgia. The center's good for now, I guess. Yeah, I would address guards. If you have a chance at a good tackle, I'd take a swing at tackle. But I would address the guards first if I was trying to figure this thing out. If I was the Texans and trying to figure this thing out. Easier to move when you're lighter. Are they also strong? Yeah, I would tell you Booker doesn't look weak. You got to be strong to pass pro, especially in the SEC. You got to be strong. Greg says, I don't like vegetables. Give me a steak. This kind of steak is like the steak you give to vampires, though, Greg. That's not the kind of steak you want. You want an STEAK steak. Sean says, man, I wish I was able to make it to the draft get-together. Come on, Sean. Cancel plans. Call the babysitter. Book the flight if you live out of town. It's worth it. Engineer says, I'd come, but I'm in Cali. Well, I thought you liked us, Engineer. I thought you'd, hop a flight. Oh, look at this. Brazil. My understanding, they have very close to playing in the Brazil game this year. Very close. If they come to Brazil, you got to show me around, Italo. Am I saying your name right? Macedo. I think I'm getting that right. Gage, you think special guest Jordan Reed will be there? I jacked that up. Jordan Reed, Justin Reed, Ed Reed, Eric Reed, all the Reeds. I need to learn how to read the names. Paolo, good to see you. Patrick's in here. He's got to do some catching up here. Bubba Homeschool's coming. Come on, Bubba. Polo King 420. What do you think about Deontay Thornton Jr. from Tennessee? Deontay Thornton Jr. is a freak athlete. He is tall. He is super fast. He runs about 3 routes, and you could do a whole lot worse in the 3rd round of the NFL draft than Thornton Jr. He can go, but he can only run a handful of routes. Like, there's some fine tuning to his game. So he's probably a depth guy initially, and you hope he turns into your occasional big play number 4 wide receiver. Wide receiver room's not full. It's not tight, but I do wonder if they would maybe use one of those late picks on a defensive player instead of a guy like Deontay Thornton Jr. But, man, he can fly. He can fly. Good to see you, Anthony. Greg says, I don't trust the Texans drafting O-line. They have a bad history with O-line. I wouldn't draft O-line until the 2nd or 3rd round. Well, I have a bad history with brunettes, but that doesn't stop me from dating them. So I would tell you this. Nick Caley and Cole Popovich, the new offense coordinator and the promoted offensive line coach, they have to affect this draft process in a big positive manner and make sure that when the Texans draft offensive line, they don't miss on these picks. They have got to make sure that they can coach those guys up, have an impact on getting those guys into the building, and make it solid and sound. Okay? They have got to figure that out. And they've got to impact this and be a big positive in the process. They really do. Because if they can't, and they can't coach these guys up, or you get another couple duds, I don't know what the solution is. Like at that point, like you'd have to hire an outside, scout consultant for the offensive line. But you shouldn't quit drafting offensive linemen just because they've had bad history. Clever Dollar Chills. Pick 58 and 79 enough to acquire George Pickens. I'd tell you that's too much for George Pickens. If you wanted George Pickens, I'd offer them 89. I'd offer them the other third-round pick that they have. I wouldn't offer them 2 picks. Certainly, I wouldn't offer them the second-round pick. Now, they're getting rid of George Pickens. There's a clear reason they're getting rid of George Pickens, and he's close to getting paid. So, I wouldn't offer him that for George Pickens. HDAV Traveler. Wow, Cody giving dating advice. I'm not giving any advice. Don't follow my advice. I'm a single man in his mid-30s. So don't follow my advice. I'm just telling you, if I had a bad run of brunettes, I'm not going to stop dating brunettes just because I had a bad run with brunettes. The next one might be the right one, Same thing with blondes or redheads or, whatever. I probably should stop dating teachers, though. Dated more than a few teachers, and and I hadn't quite gone right. Probably should stop dating teachers. Wiggles Ming. How many opening day starters do you expect the Texans to draft? This is a good question, Wiggles. I'm going to say starter in the first round. Let's call it an offensive lineman. So let's call it a starter on the offensive line. If they get a wide receiver, that guy should start opposite Nico if they go 3 wide. I'd say 2 starters with the chance for it to be 3 starters. You could have 2 starting offensive linemen out of this draft, but if you draft a running back, Joe Mixon's the starter. If you draft a tight end, that guy's probably not the starter. You draft any defender, that guy's probably not the starter. Unless it's a defensive tackle in the second round, then he probably could start. So yeah, I would say I'd say 2 with the chance for it to be 3. Especially if they're going to, here's the scenario where they get 4. If you went O-lineman, D-tackle, wide receiver, O-lineman, then there's 4. You could start 4 on opening day. I would say 2 with a chance for 3, Wiggles. That's a good question. It's a good question. Engineer with a salient point. Of course, Landry hates O-linemen. He hates big people. Now, I don't know if that's a true statement. I don't know if he hates big people, but, he's let some big people know they're big before. Wesley with a question. I wonder why the Texans haven't signed former Jaguars guard Brandon Sheriff. Because if you miss on your guard in the draft, then you go sign Brandon Sheriff. You go spend some money on him. James R. says, don't you think that the Chiefs will take Booker if he drops? Because it makes too much sense, in my opinion. Yeah, Booker, Donovan Jackson, or a tackle. The Chiefs might go early on some of those, middle-of-the-road tackles. If Josh Simmons falls to the Chiefs, I think they'd probably take him, the Ohio State tackle. But, yeah, they seem – O-lineman's probably a place for them. I think they could take a running back, too. They should take Trey Henderson at 31. Sean Castillo, Nick wants to improve his history of drafting O-line. You go Tate Ratledge from Georgia. He's a big leaguer, no question. Sean likes Tate Ratledge. Andrew, if the Texans get Booker another O-line in 2, Cody shaves the stash. A shave bet. A shave bet. If the linemen are clean shaven, if both linemen back-to-back, first 2 picks are linemen and they're clean shaven, I'll shave the mustache. You heard it here first. If it's back-to-back linemen and they're clean shaven linemen, I'll shave the mustache. Mark Marker says, I want Zabel at center, but would be cool with Booker as guard, Rutledge at day 2, then Jackson Hawes, the tight end from Georgia Tech at day 3, then the trenches in a great spot. Jackson Hawes is a mercenary when it comes to blocking at the tight end spot. He goes out there and just beats people up. I like watching him play football. I love hearing him talk about football. He was pumped meeting with the Texans both times. Met with him at the Senior Bowl, saw him at the Combine. So Hawes, I like Hawes. Perfect fifth-round pick for the Texans. Perfect fifth-round pick. Will Cody and Landry be taking bets based on what position group gets drafted days 1 and 2? Can act on the bets on day 3 at the event. Not a bad idea, Brandon. See what we can come up with. Space Age says, draft Henderson and Giddens, and we set in the backfield. It's Trey Henderson from The Ohio State University. It's DJ Giddens from Kansas State. Now, that'd probably be a 2-3 double up on running back because Giddens probably just going to go back in the 3rd. I don't know that he'd last till the 5th. Be a really nice player to pick if they had a 4th-round pick. H-Town Red, Nick Amenawari from South Carolina, Xavier Watts from Notre Dame are my guys. Could be steals in this draft. I just don't know if the Texans are going to take a safety. Bullock's under contract for the next 3 seasons. C.J. Gardner-Johnson's under contract for the next 2 seasons. If they extend Jalen Petrie, that's a safety / nickel guy that's under contract. So I don't know that safety's going to make it into the equation early on. I like Xavier Watts. I love Nick Amenawari. I just don't know that they're going to get the shot. They're going to feel comfortable taking either one of those guys. Ratledge is from Tennessee. So I certainly understand why he would say something horrible like I want to play for the Tennessee Titans. But Ratledge is from Tennessee. So that is something to keep in mind. Let me get my notes out on this. Yeah, born and raised in Chattanooga, Tennessee. His dad played football at Tennessee Tech and coached in high school football in Tennessee for a long time. Then they relocated to Rome, Georgia. I don't know where he said that, but it would make sense. He's from Tennessee. Roto says the top 100 picks they have need to be on offense. No questions asked. Well, it's not a bad idea. Wouldn't it be better to take a tackle first? There are fewer tackles than guards. Sure, but you can't play a tackle right away because I don't know that a tackle is going to come in and beat out Cam Robinson or Blake Fisher for either the tackle spot. So not a starter. It's better to take a project tackle that you could see with a year or 2 of seasoning taking over a spot for you and take a starter at guard. That's how I would say that. Would you trade 25 and Petrie to the Raiders to move up for Tyler Warren? Yes, but that wouldn't get you to 25, and the Raiders would laugh at you if you called them. James R. says, I'd come, but I feel like it'll be awkward. Don't come then. I mean, it's not going to be awkward. We're going to have fun. We're going to hang out and drink some beers, watch some football. Space Age asks, is Luther Burden, the wide receiver from Missouri, is there at 25? Do you pass on him, Cody? What else is available? What else is there? Is Booker there? Is Kelvin Banks there? Is Ray Zabel there? Is Emeka Egbuka there? What else is there? It would be my big question. Just saw Chad Ryder's mock draft, had us taking the DT out of Oregon. Is that just me, or is it O-line or wide receiver at 25? Derek Harmon is that player's name. Derek Harmon's a very good player. Derek Harmon's going to go higher than 25, I believe, in this draft. He's one of the guys that's going to push a good player down to the Texans. I don't know that they can take a defensive tackle at 25. That'd be kind of loony to me. Got to get me a Jordan Reed jersey. Yeah, the Jordan Reed stuff. Everybody had some fun with that. Mario Master, assume the Texans run more gap if they took Booker as your favorite running back for the team change. My favorite for them is Amarion Hampton. They can't get Booker and Hampton. That'd be unlikely. They could still get Booker and Trey Henderson, though. Trey Henderson out of Ohio State, he'd be really good for them. Bubba says, everyone has bad experiences with brunettes. Italo Macedo says brunettes from Bulgaria are tough. We get the international man of mystery here. Look at this guy. And then Rodos was suggesting a Colombian. Well, I think you need a comma in there because it sounds like, get you a Colombian man. What if he likes the ladies? I think you need a comma in there. Cody will be taken sooner or later by the baddest lady around. Yeah, that'd be news to me. It'd probably be news to her too. They didn't teach you a lesson? Yeah. No. What teacher hurt my guy? Teachers, plural. Gotta stop dating teachers. I'm going to check this tomorrow when I get out and about. Landry claims there's 32. There ain't no way there's 32 different flavors of Bluebell at the HEB. Jordan says trade back 10 or so spots and take 2 O linemen. You'll have 5 top 100 picks. Donovan Jackson and Tate Ratledge could happen if they trade back. Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with that. I can make that happen. I'd be happy to make that happen if I was the Texans. If we get Banks, what role does that leave Titus? Well, Titus is fighting for a spot, man. That's what Titus is fighting for. It looks like he's going to play interior offensive line, so there's 2 guard spots. If a rookie takes one of them, Titus has got to fight for the other one. If it's back-to-back linemen, Landry's got to wear a fake beard on the stream for a week. That's 10:30. You got to make all the bets with Landry at 10:30. Curtis's Podcast Network. Omar Norman Lott, Tennessee defensive tackle. What are your thoughts? He's perfect for the Texans. Pass rushing defensive tackle, been a part of a rotation at Tennessee, so he knows how to be a part of a rotation and put the pedal to the metal when you are in there. I like Omar Norman Lott. I don't know they're going to get a chance to draft him, but I like him. Hey, Stoots, why don't you have the full beard? Because it looks awful when I have the full beard. It's patchy. It doesn't grow in right. It doesn't get thick enough. So the full beard is not good. I want to see Kelvin Banks Jr. from Texas at 25 and Jaden Higgins from Iowa State at 58. I'd be fine with that too. Kelvin Banks, I like Kelvin Banks as much, maybe more than Tyler Booker because Banks can play tackle for you eventually. Could Titus get moved prior to draft day? No, the contract's weird. They can't trade him. Maybe later, maybe in camp, but they can't trade him now. And he's not netting you anything notable. You think Brevin Jordan makes it through camp if we get Loveland? If they get Colston Loveland from Michigan, someone who currently is a tight end on the team's getting cut. I don't know if it's Dalton Schultz or I don't know if it's Brevin Jordan. Look, Brevin Jordan, he's got a long road. He's got to go out there and prove it. I know D'Amico Ryan said a lot of nice things about him, but, he's got a long road to get back. What would you still add to this stud defense? I'd add another edge rusher because Autry's a 1-year contract. Barnett's a 1-year contract. And Dylan Horton hadn't shown you much, so I'd add another edge rusher. What about Colston Loveland? What pick do you think he goes? I think he goes 14 to the Colts. And if they don't have Loveland available to them, they'll take a tackle. Do you believe there are a lot of teams wanting to trade up? I don't see it. I mean, if a quarterback starts to slip, if Shedeur Sanders is there in the 20s, I think teams will try to come up and get him. I don't know if he's fallen that far. H-Town Red. If you can't trust Juice Scruggs, Cody, you think they should get another center to protect CJ? I mean, that's why Zabel's an interesting player because if you had some guys come in and play well at guard, Zabel can play center for you. And you want to draft a center in the first round? Hell no. But he could play center for you. What about Cam Williams, the tackle from Texas? I mean, just should have stayed in school. I didn't like him at Texas. I don't like him in the draft. He's a lottery ticket. And, I mean, some team's going to fall in love with the measurables, but he was bad. I thought he was bad in college. If they go back-to-back linemen, you think there'll be a good wide receiver left? Yeah, there should be. There's some wide receivers of note that should be available in the third round. Like if you're trying to think about, the third round starts with pick 64. Like Trey Harris should be a third rounder. Jack Besh should be a third rounder. That's Besh from TCU. Kyle Williams from Washington State's probably a third rounder. Patrick, I've committed to the patch. You do the soul patch? Is that what you do? I used to do that. I used to do the Bagwell, which was no mustache, and I would just do chin. It looked terrible. I don't know why somebody didn't say something to me. Joe Blue, Banks or Connolly? That's Josh Connolly Jr. from Oregon. I like Banks. I like Banks more than Connolly. Connolly, I don't know where you can play. You can't play Connolly right away. You can't play him in the first year. Banks or Loveland? I'll say Banks with the hope that they get Fedoni late. Fedoni from Nebraska. James R. says, what's all the discrepancy when it comes to Kyle Williams? Some people saying he's the second best receiver, and some people think fourth round at best. Where do you put him? I like him personally. I like him in the third round. He's really good at the Senior Bowl. Had a lot of production at Washington State. And fast. Man, he's fast. Once he gets moving, people aren't catching him. He's the prototypical, if you're even, he's leaving. Chris Sims says he's the second best wide receiver in the draft. I don't know if he's that good. Curtis's Podcast Network. Zabel, Burden, Booker, and Jackson are available at 25. Who are you going with? Booker. Late round gems. Ty Robinson's one of them. I like Ty Robinson, the defensive tackle out of Nebraska. I like Waya Black from Iowa. He's going to be a late round pick. Long arms. Really good Senior Bowl. Older guy, did not test well athletically, but that's why he's going to be a late round guy. And then at wide receiver, late round, Elijah Badger from Florida. Really like him. I would take Brew McCoy from Tennessee. I mean, I would take Brew McCoy just because he's got the background and he's a big guy. He can block for you. He can go up there and win some contested stuff. And then Isaac Tesla is one of my favorite prospects in this entire draft. I feel like he's going to be a late round steal. Big slot. All right, a couple more minutes here. 10:30, Landry Locker takes over with the get out scenario. We're drafting a wide receiver 2 or 3 or 4. So not the first one, Patrick. Okay. What do the teams behind us need? That's a good question. Okay. Rams, corner, or wide receiver. Baltimore, they could do anything. Detroit, defensive lineman. Washington, maybe a running back. Defensive tackle, maybe. Buffalo, defense. Kansas City, offensive lineman. Philadelphia, D lineman, or maybe an O lineman. Off-topic draft prospect, but any thoughts on why no one's talking about Will Howard? Great size on him. He seemed great at Gruden's QB camp video. Just propped up by the players that were around him, I think. I thought he looked better at Ohio State because of the talent around him. I think he's very okay. Yeah, Waya Black from Iowa, defensive tackle. I do like Ricky White late as well. From UNLV, Ricky White III. People asked about these linebackers. I don't know about the linebackers. I don't know a ton about this linebacking crew. Who's the guy you're asking about here? Gerard Christian Lichtenlin? What kind of name is this? I don't see this guy. Send me an email on this guy. I'll do some looking. What I had this awful feeling about Tesla going to KC. Don't speak the evil into the world. What are you doing? The Texans have not had a lot of true speed at wide receiver in recent years. So that would be nice to have some true speed. Why is nobody talking about Thomas Fidone at tight end? I don't know. I guess because of the production and the knee injury history, tore the ACL twice in college, had a slow start. They didn't throw him the ball out of Nebraska. They can do a little bit of everything. It's got the frame. You can add some weight to it. I like Fidone. Jordan Ortiz likes the linebacker from Georgia, Munden Jr. He runs up and dog in the middle. Where does he go? Third, fourth round from Dane Brugler on him. You see the Texans trading back in the second round after 58. Hope not. That'd be expensive. They don't have a lot of draft picks, but they want to dip into next year with the extra stuff. Be my guest. Fidone about it. I mean, I really like Fidone. Add weight to a frame that already had ACL issues twice. Torn ACL twice. I'm good on that. That's why you're spending a 5th round pick on the guy. It's not like you're drafting him in the first damn round. I don't get it. All right. Housekeeping. Biergarten, 426. We will see you there. Come out. You don't need to make a reservation or anything. Just park, show up, find the Biergarten, find us, find the big screen, find the draft, and hang out. Draft and drafts with us at Karbach. Get you all the details as it gets a little bit closer, like address, parking, all that kind of stuff. Plenty of parking over there at Karbach. They do a great job. Plenty of food options as well. Stickers, you can request those in the link in the description down below. Running out quick. So if you haven't requested a sticker, go ahead and request that sticker. Landry Locker, 10:30, the locker room. This should automatically send you over to the next video, which is going to be Landry Locker talking about Get Out. Maybe he's going to do a movie review. Who knows? I end the live stream the same way each and every time. So my hope for you, so my charge for you as well. I want you to eat good. I want you to sleep good. I want you to be good. We'll talk Texans again soon. Hip-hoppity, dip-doppity-doo. Thanks for watching, everybody.